India is an amazing, incredible country, definitely worth visiting, but you might be shocked at how different it is from your own country or culture. We've got several tips to help you guys to travel and visit India, or if you're going for work, we want to help you guys thrive and enjoy incredible India. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. I'm Rob. We love helping people be successful in their cross-cultural journeys. We've got a special guest, Laura, who's going to share from her own experiences traveling and working in India. We're going to help you guys have fun, memorable, safe trips to India. Laura, also known as Lali, be sure to check out her YouTube channel. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi Rob, thank you so much for having me on Chine Coaching. My name is Laura and I have a YouTube channel called Lali. I have travelled to India several times in my lifetime. The first time I went was about 8 years ago. I just have a huge passion for India and I love traveling around India and exploring new places in India. I've been learning Hindi for the last few years as well. I'm really excited to give a few of my little tips that you might come across.
Yeah, watching your videos, I'm impressed by your Hindi. Hindi is definitely not an easy language to learn for foreigners, and I've loved just watching your interest in Indian culture and how you've embraced it in your videos, you know, in India and even back home in London, and how you're kind of continuing some of the culture there. A quick preface for this video is India is such a diverse place. These tips are going to be based on our own experiences, but you might find something completely different. Amartya Sen in India said, what you might find to be true about India, the complete opposite will be also true and right for you. So you might have a different experience. Don't worry, but these might be some helpful tips to have a great time or avoid some mistakes. So let's start off by talking about the importance of being street smart in India.
So I think just like traveling in any part of the world, I think it's important to be street smart when you're traveling in India. I've traveled around India quite a lot, and I've also traveled on my own, which I've been advised against because I'm a woman. And actually, I think that it's really important that women do travel around India. And I think as long as you read up a lot about the country before visiting and you do a few simple things, I think you can be absolutely fine. I think that when you're walking around, it's very important that you don't constantly look at your phone. I know it's very tempting to do that because you want to look up on Google Maps where you need to go and all this kind of stuff. But if you're constantly looking down, you're not seeing what's going on around you. And if you're looking down at your phone, you're also going to be a target for people because people are going to definitely know that you don't know where you're going, and that people are definitely going to know that you're new to that area. If you look like you're new to the area, you're going to be a lot more vulnerable to touts and people who are going to come up and try and annoy you and try and sell you stuff or try and get you to go in their rickshaw or get a ride or whatever. So
they have a radar for that. They're really good at finding those people out.
And what I find really helpful is even if you're new to India, if you're a little bit nervous and, you know, you're going to be stared at by a lot of people because you have white skin, you might have fair hair as well. Even if you look Indian and you're born in a Western country, they will know that you're not from India, as in they will know that you're not born there because you walk differently, you talk differently. And I think it's important that you just walk with a little bit of purpose and walk with confidence and try not to look nervous because you will be a target for people, and just don't take any nonsense from people that come up and try and maybe harass you for stuff.
Yeah, being willing to say no is really important.
Yeah, and don't feel guilty about it either. You know, you want to enjoy your experience and you really don't want to be hassled by people. So just don't even give them eye contact, just say no. Just try not to look at your phone so much, because if you do that, then you're probably more likely to get lost because you're not looking at the landmarks that are around you, around your hotel or wherever you're staying. And so getting back to where you came from is going to be a lot harder because you're always looking at your phone, you're not actually seeing what's around you. And that also ruins your experience because you're not actually enjoying India, you're just looking down at your phone.
That's great. Now, how you dress is really important in India as well. As a tourist or going there for work, what are some thoughts on clothing and dress you have for visitors?
So I put in my notes, don't buy the hippie elephant trousers. And the reason that I say that is because I hate them, but also it just makes you look like you are definitely a tourist. And also you're going to definitely make yourself a target even more. I think it's much better to make it look like you've lived there or stayed there for a long time. And then people are less likely to come up and try and sell you stuff or try and get you to go in their rickshaw or try and ask you for money. So I would recommend definitely going to the local market, or if you want to spend a little bit more money, go to somewhere like Global Desi or go to Fab India, get a kurta, wear some sort of more local clothing that would make you fit in a little bit more. And also, people are going to love that you've actually made that effort, and people really appreciate it when you're trying to embrace their culture. So if you're embracing the style of clothes that people wear out there, people are going to absolutely love that, because they're going to be just expecting you to come in your Western clothes. They're not going to be expecting you to really embrace it. And I think just, even if you don't know the language, just as a visual thing that you've bought some clothes from that country and you want to embrace the culture, will make people appreciate you so much more. And it makes you look like you've lived there for some time. So
yeah, Fab India was definitely one of my favorite shops as well for getting traditional clothes. And yeah, obviously, if you're there for business, dress professionally, but if you're there as a tourist, dressing as the locals do, it's going to be different in the big cities versus a rural place. And so just do some research and ask questions, and that'll help you blend in and get bothered less, for sure. I
think it also depends on what kind of work or what kind of business you're doing, because I think you can still get some smart clothes, like business wise, that is Indian style. Like, so when I was working as a director in Mumbai, I was directing some shoots and I rocked up wearing Indian clothing every day.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot more comfortable as well than wearing maybe like, I don't know, smart pants and
yeah, my wife definitely misses wearing the Indian clothes on a daily basis, because they're just so more comfortable and more flattering than Western clothes.
Definitely, I think so. And I actually think, as a woman, I actually find that women's clothing in India is a lot more feminine and actually fits me better than Western clothing. I don't know how that works, but it does for me anyway.
They got it figured out.
You can get custom made clothes and get it altered as well to how it fits to your body. So
yeah, very affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the biggest frustrations that Westerners face when going to India is what they call IST, or India Standard Time. Can you break that down for us, Laura?
So my first experience traveling to India, I fell in love with the country so much that I wasn't bothered when things didn't happen on time. But I was traveling on a tour with lots of people from other Western countries who would get so angry and so frustrated when things didn't happen when they wanted them to happen, or when they were told they were going to happen. And I think you need to know before you go to India that when someone says this is going to happen at this time, you can't always 100% guarantee that's going to happen. In fact, I would just take that, any reference of time, as a pinch of salt. But that doesn't mean when someone says, can we meet you at this time, that means that you should turn up late. I think you should always try and make an effort to be on time, but be very, very patient if the other person that you're meeting, if they're Indian, isn't on time, because there's always issues with traffic. Especially in metropolitan cities like Mumbai and Delhi. I mean, I can't believe how close in proximity some places are. And if you're traveling in a car, it's just, and you're in traffic, it's just crazy. Like, I've had friends that will say, yeah, I'm coming, and they'll send their location on my phone, and I'll be like, but you're not even that far away, but they're just stuck. They're not able to move.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a little bit more open-minded and realize that India's got its own clock that isn't the same clock as the one in America or the one in the UK. It's just, you just have to be more open-minded to it, I think.
Totally. In Eastern cultures, they view time based on relationships. So time is going from relationship to relationship. Where in the West, we view time as in task, going from task to task or appointment to appointment. So that's a big mentality shift that I had to make. And we made so many mistakes, because we would get invited to weddings all over India, and they'd say, come at this time. And as Americans, we were going to make sure we were on time. And we show up and they're still decorating for the wedding. And people weren't going to be there for another 2-3 hours. So we had to learn to figure out, okay, what is the given time and what's the actual time? And kind of figure out how to meet in the middle, or, play by more Indians' rules with time.
It's a bit of a weird one, because I've had instances where my friends have said, look, I'll meet you at this place at this time. And I've been like, oh yeah, but Indian Standard Time. And then I've turned up an hour late and they've been like, hey, where were you? We've been waiting for ages. And I'm like, but I don't know whether it's Indian Standard Time or what. So it's kind of tricky. I think you just have to be open-minded that you're maybe not going to get everything done in the day that you thought you were going to get done, because things don't always happen on time.
So true. So true.
Just be aware that your plans might change last minute, or if you're trying to cover a lot of places to see in one day and you've planned lots of things or planned lots of meetings, they might not all happen. So
yeah, low expectations is helpful for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So another thing that foreigners face in India is sometimes we get cheated, we get ripped off, or we have to pay the whitey tax. So how can people respond to that?
Tax. I've never heard it called the whitey tax. That's amazing. Okay, well, my only notes on this was, if you get ripped off, just don't beat yourself up about it. I think that's the main thing. I think it's gonna happen if you're white, and I think you just have to accept that. And I think there's absolutely no point getting frustrated about an extra 20 or 30 rupees or something, because realistically, how much is that back home? That's really nothing. And yes, it's not the local price that other people are paying, but I think you just have to accept the fact that you had to pay a little bit more. And at the end of the day, does that really matter? You know, like, it's not going to make much of a difference in your life. Yes, it feels really unjust, and you know, you've been judged by your skin color, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, but I think you just need to let that go and be happy in the fact that that person's you've made their day by giving them a little extra money. I think when I first came to India, I probably overspent on a lot of things without realizing, and then when I did realize, I'd get really upset about it and have this horrible feeling inside that was like, oh, like I think I accidentally spent a couple of hundred more than I needed to or something, and I just felt really like, oh, like I just feel rotten, like I've done something wrong and I feel cheated and it feels rubbish, and I feel sort of angry about it. But then I thought, you know what, it's nothing, so just let it go, and that person maybe needs the money a lot more than you do, so just leave it. So yeah, that's my main thing really.
Yeah,
but having said that, if it's a fixed price and someone is asking for more money, then really do put your foot down and say, look mate, this is the price on the product or whatever, or this is the price on the meter on the rickshaw. Please, like, you know, and don't give them any more than the fixed price. And if they're demanding it, just walk away, because they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Don't let them intimidate you into paying more money for a fixed price thing.
Yeah, many times when we felt like we've been unjustly being cheated, you know, more than just maybe a little bit or something, we've asked other Indian friends, other people local to help out, or the police, and people will stand up for you if you just ask for help, and that person will usually leave you alone or maybe give you the right price, because even Indians get cheated too, so they'll fight for you.
So, I had an experience in Kolkata once where I was getting a cab. The guy refused to put his meter on, and you just have to, in that case, just go for a different option. I did end up saying, you know, where is your meter? And he put the meter on, but he was still talking about the price that he was trying to negotiate with me, even though that was so much higher than what was on the meter. And I gave him the money for, you know, what the meter said, and he was still, you know, asking for more in a very aggressive way. And I was on my own, and it was horrible. But you just have to get out of the car, slam the door and walk away. You know that you've paid the fixed price that's on that meter. You don't need to pay any more, and don't let him intimidate you into doing so.
So our chat question for this video is, what's the biggest challenge that foreigners face when coming to India? Let us know in the comments, maybe your experience or what you've seen foreigners do. Let us know what your biggest challenge is for foreigners coming to India. Well, I think from my experience and just observation is expectations. You know, people think things, whether it's time or schedule or things, something like is going to happen or India's going to be like this, and they're totally surprised. From your experience or talking to other foreigners, what do you think is the biggest challenge that they've faced?
My personal biggest challenge is dealing with mosquitoes. I just can't not itch, you know, like I really find that very, very difficult to deal with. So yeah, mosquitoes and the heat I really struggle with. I mean, I'm from a very cold country, so yeah, I really struggle with the heat. I mean, I've never been to Mumbai in the summer, but I think if I did, I would die, because I find Mumbai in the winter bad enough as it is. Yeah, mosquitoes became my nemesis. I had dengue fever twice while in India, which is a mosquito disease. I got hospitalized. They call it bone crusher's disease, and it was not fun. So yeah, those mosquitoes are rough. Another tough thing that foreigners face when coming to India is the poverty and the beggars, especially in the big cities. And knowing what to do, you've maybe heard stories about kind of
the corruption that comes with that stuff. How did you respond to the beggars? I know there's many there in Mumbai where you were working. What advice do you have on that?
I think avoid being in a situation where you're going to be in a very non-crowded place where beggars were going to approach you. And I was actually advised when I got the Mumbai local trains to go first class, get a first class carriage. And I actually advise against that, because if you get the first class carriage, there is going to be a lot less people on it. And when it stops somewhere, I had this experience, a woman who was begging with some very young children came on the carriage and was standing opposite me, and she would not leave me alone. She was stuck to me like a blue ass fly, and she was making me feel so sad. She's pointing to her kids, she's like indicating that she's hungry, she's doing a hand like this. And being in a first class carriage and there was no one else around, I had to deal with this woman who would not leave me alone. She's touching me, she's tapping her hand on me, and I found it so much easier just getting on a second class carriage. If you're a woman, you can get on the women's carriage. It's the same price as second class as well. If there's lots of people around, Indians are incredibly helpful, and they are not going to let you go through that experience. If there are people around, they're going to help you. So what happened eventually is, after about 20 minutes of this woman being opposite me and me feeling very, very awkward and not giving her any money, is someone eventually came on the train and, told her to leave me alone. And he just said to me, just whatever you do, just don't give them money, because you don't know where that money's going. In the same way that you don't know sometimes where the money's going when you give money to a homeless person in your own country. I think being in a crowded place is very, very helpful. And then that also means that if something goes wrong, you can shout for help, or you can ask someone for help, and somebody will help you. That's my experience anyway.
One thing that helped us in certain situations, and the big cities like Delhi, there was poverty everywhere. Every intersection, people were coming, knocking on our car windows, begging, and we learned that it was helpful to carry food with us. So that way we could actually give them food, give them snacks, or if you're walking in a market, just take the extra 5 minutes and go to a stall and buy them some food. And actually meet a physical need. In the winter, we would carry blankets or clothes for the street kids. Sometimes we just felt the compassion and wanted to give someone money, but we know that a lot of times there's the corruption with that, and so we had to be careful. But ask just also the local people what they do and advise.
I find that with local people, I think that a lot of my friends will just, if they're getting food, they'll also get an extra plate for that person that's begging. But it's also down to you, right? It's your choice, it's your money. You choose what you want to do. I mean, I don't give money, but I have given water and I've given food in the past and stuff. But I think it's a bit tricky. I think it's your preference. It's up to you. If you want to give money, then give money, but you could be giving a lot of money away, because you might get quite a lot of people harassing you.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. We're going to share some more tips and suggestions for you guys in another video. So be sure to check out the other recording we're going to make with Lali. Be sure to check out her YouTube channel, London Ki Lali, for some fun adventures of her in India, Indian culture, and just that cross-cultural experience. And Lali, thanks so much for sharing these experiences and tips in this video.
No problem. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you guys. Be sure to subscribe to Chine Coaching. We want to continue to help you guys in your cross-cultural journeys. Connect with us online on social media. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time at Chine Coaching. Cheers.
Bye.